Today is the 21st of September 2015. We're at the New York State Military Museum in Saratoga Springs, New York. My name is Wayne Clark. Sir, for the record, would you please state your full name and date and place of birth, please?
I'm Edwin L. Born 19 June 1922 in Amsterdam, New York.
Did you attend school in Amsterdam?
Yeah, I did. Amsterdam High School.
And did you graduate from high school?
Yes.
What year did you graduate?
1939.
39, all right. Once you graduated from high school, did you go on to school? Did you go to work? What did you do until you went into the service?
Well, various jobs on farms around the area.
Okay.
And then I joined the local company of the National Guard.
Oh, okay. What year did you join the National Guard?
1940 in the summer.
And what prompted you to join the National Guard?
Just something to do.
Uh-huh.
Nothing, no other reason.
Okay. Did you have any friends or relatives in the Guard?
No, I had a distant uncle that had been in the company in World War I.
Okay. And what was the Guard like back then in 1940?
It was very, was small. Company G was small, and I did not know a soul in the company, but I got to blend in with the group pretty easily. And
How often did you have meetings?
we had meetings once a month.
Once a month. Now, once you were in the Guard, did you go to basic training right away, or did you go to summer camp
No,
first?
none of that, because there were rumors that the Guard was going to be taken into federal service.
Ah, all right.
And that came to pass in the fall of 1940. And I was influenced by that, I guess, more than anything,
All right.
join them.
Once they were federalized, what happened?
Once we were federalized, we were confined to the armory, and what basic training I had then was like close order drill and things like that, which I already knew, having gone to CMTC from high school days. CMTC was a Citizens Military Training Program, which was held by most high schools that I know
I
of,
see.
at least at Amsterdam anyway. And we trained up in Plattsburgh for 30 days.
During the summertime?
During the summer.
Okay.
And that's where we got most of all our basic training there. So anything that happened to me in Company G, I already knew
I see.
from those days.
So once you were in Company G and they were federalized, did they send you off to a basic training, or did you
No.
just go with the unit?
No, we stayed with the unit,
All right.
and we stayed in the armory until we were sent to Fort McClellan, Alabama. And I think that was the fall of 1940.
And how long were you down there for?
We were there for a year. That was going to be for a year. And in the winter of 41, we were supposed to be demobilized. But December 7th happened, and that ended that.
Right. Did you ever hear that there was a term back then? A lot of the guys were upset because they were extended, and I think
Ohio, over the hill in October. Everybody used to yell that.
Well, but nobody went over the hill, did
No,
they?
no, because it was only going to be for a year.
Mm-hmm.
We were supposed to be in federal service only for a year,
Yes.
but it didn't work that way.
Ah. So there was the attack on Pearl Harbor. There must have been a lot of chaos and confusion and...
Not really, just
Okay.
everything, we were sort of concerned that it would be over in a couple weeks because it was only Japan.
Right.
We didn't have to.
But you knew you were in for the duration at that point.
Yeah, we knew that. But before that, the maneuvers in the Tennessee and Arkansas were pretty grueling.
I heard that. Pretty extensive.
Yeah, they were grueling, almost like Civil War days.
A lot of forced marches.
Yeah, a lot of that, and a lot of suffering in the sun, and we didn't have a lot of good equipment. Wooden mortars,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Wow. And during that time period, did you get any leave time at all during those maneuvers?
One. We had in July of 1941. There was a certain number got a week, and we got a train ride home and back.
Okay.
Back to Fort McClellan again.
Yeah. And so the maneuvers lasted a year.
The maneuvers lasted most of the summer. I would say 6 weeks, maybe 6 weeks to 8 weeks.
All right. Then there was that attack on Pearl Harbor, and
after that, everything was galvanized into action.
Okay. After the attack on Pearl Harbor, where were you sent?
The division was, the division was mobilized and sent to California.
Okay. And how long were you in California for?
We were in California until April of 1942.
Now, did you get weekends off or weekend passes or anything?
No, not.
It was all training and...
Yeah, pretty much
Okay.
that.
And
Yeah.
you were basically
We were also
confined.
getting some new people, new recruits in. And the ones that had been let go, that were, during the course of this time, those that from the draft that had come to the company when we first got to Alabama, they had been let go, sent home. But then they were all called back.
Right.
That was a pretty bad time for them.
Yeah.
Because they thought they had left us for good, and they all came back.
So after California, did you board a ship for
We
Hawaii?
boarded a ship for Hawaii. I think at the time, we thought we were on our way to the Philippines because they were getting ready to fall at the time, I think, around that area. But we ended up in my particular battalion ended up on the big island of Hawaii. That was in April.
Now, do you recall the name of the ship you went over on?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
What was there a convoy or several ships or?
Yeah, there was a convoy. Yeah.
Okay.
So-
Did you get seasick at all?
No, I didn't.
No. Okay.
But I got what they called then was yellow jaundice,
Oh.
and I got sick from that. And everybody, there was many people sick from that. Most of us, as soon as we got off the ship, went into the hospital,
Yeah.
which was a converted school on Hawaii. It was just a miserable feeling, that's all. We were there for a couple of weeks.
Okay.
And then we went to beach positions, putting barbed wire all around the island.
Mm-hmm.
Because the feeling was that the Japanese were coming back. That was the feeling.
Yeah. Okay. And did you see much of the destruction from the attack? I mean.
No, I did not. No.
Okay.
No, not at that time.
Okay.
Because everything was still in an uproar. Because that was in '42,
Mm-hmm.
in April, only a couple of months after
Right.
the attack.
Yeah.
And,
Okay.
we spent most of our time stringing barbed wire and building bunkers all
Mm-hmm.
on the coastline.
Okay. Now, how long were you there for?
Ooh, 42. I guess we were, you might say we were pretty lucky. We were there for over a year.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But then we had amphibious training, meanwhile, and
Mm-hmm.
jungle training and all that.
Yeah.
But in June of '42, as you well know, the Battle of Midway took place. And that took the pressure off of the feeling of invasion there.
Mm-hmm.
That was where the Japanese lost so many planes.
Yeah.
Oh, and they lost also 4 carriers.
Okay.
So
you guys thought maybe the war was going
yeah,
to be over
we
pretty
thought it was
soon.
going to be coming there.
Yeah.
But the Battle of Midway changed that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Where did you go after Hawaii?
After Hawaii, from Hawaii, went right to the Marianas.
Mm-hmm.
But certain segments of the division went to Inuiatak and
Right.
Kawajelin.
Yeah.
But I didn't myself did not go there.
Okay. What did you do in Marianas?
In the Marianas, I was a squad leader.
Mm-hmm. And what rank were you at that point?
I was staff sergeant.
Staff sergeant. Okay. All right. And
My grandmother thought that was such a wonderful thing, being a staff sergeant, because she assumed I was on some staff somewhere. She says, he has a safe job.
advising the general, right?
Yeah, that's what she thought.
And when and where did you first see combat?
Right on Saipan,
Mm-hmm.
Saipan Island.
Okay. And when did you hit Saipan?
The 15th of June, '44.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what was that like for you? I mean, everyone I've spoke to, you know, they said if you weren't scared, you were crazy or
something like
lying.
that. Yeah.
Did your group suffer many casualties
Yes.
initially?
Yeah.
Okay.
At the south end of the island, we did. Yeah.
Okay. And did you have any contact with the Marines at all prior to the?
Myself.
Well, there was.
Generals did. I know
yeah,
that.
I know there was a controversy between the two generals.
Yeah, they always had it. But other than that, no. Except that the first 2 members of Company G that were killed by Marines.
Friendly fire.
Friendly fire.
Oh, okay.
That was sad.
Okay.
We were changing positions at night,
Mm-hmm.
and they opened fire.
Okay. Do you want to go into what led up to the Bonsai attack, where you were and where?
Oh, during that time, we had gone through Garapan, that's the capital city there.
Mm-hmm.
We'd gone through there and proceeded towards the end of the island. And there was a relocation of the lines then. And fortunately, G Company was taken out of 2nd Battalion and transferred to 3rd Battalion, which is high up on the hill, which saved our cans there, or at least mine.
Yeah.
And we were up there, and the bonsai, the attack swept around the side of it, so I wasn't any part of that.
Okay.
Only on edge, on the side.
But you were able to witness.
Oh
that.
yeah.
Okay.
It was like a movie house letting out, just a mob of people, civilians and military. There was no organization to it, just a screaming mob of people.
And they said the civilians, they had pushed the
Yeah,
civilians
yeah, that's right.
in
But
front of them.
as I say, there was no military organization to this at all. Just a push of people.
Okay. And how long did that last?
That lasted, I would say, started early in the morning, lasted all day. That was in July 7th.
Now, did you stay in that position during the attack until it was over?
We stayed on the edge there. Then we moved around too, but they were getting around. They were coming around us. So I was able to do some good there.
Good. All right. And did your group suffer many casualties?
Company G, no,
Okay.
not many, because we were sort of out of it. But the 2nd Battalion did, because the two other companies, E Company and F Company, they were down at a lower level, and they got hit bad, very bad.
Okay. Were you involved in the mopping up afterwards?
No.
No. Okay. Now, after the bonsai attack, what did your group do then next?
Well, after that, on the 7th, I got hit myself.
Okay. Do you want to tell us about
Not
what
much.
transpired?
Just a fragment from a mortar shell went from my left shoulder. But the trouble is, it immobilized my arm. I couldn't even load my rifle. So I recall giving my M1. I had just loaded it, and I gave it to the company commander of K Company. I said, "Here's a loaded M1." And then I was able to get taken out in a half track. I grabbed a ride on the half track back to the hospital.
Now, was it a land-based hospital, or did they come on a ship?
Land-based hospital.
Okay.
It was the 31st Field Hospital.
Okay.
They had these big tents, big long, they're very capable, very wonderful people.
And how long were you there for?
I was there for about 4 or 5 days, I guess. It's quite a. They had their hands full. Everybody coming back, and from there, well, as a matter of fact, I had to wait at the hospital. I had to wait 2 days to get my turn on at the operating.
So the shrapnel was still in.
Well, it wasn't shrapnel, it was splinter. It was just splinter. Shrapnel is something that's made to burst. Okay. Everyone seems to think that things flying through the air is shrapnel, but it isn't. This was a shell splinter. Okay. And after waiting a couple days, I got this taken care of, and was evacuated to a hospital ship, the Relief, USS Relief, and that was wonderful. They were wonderful people, and the hospital ship transported everybody, or transported us to the Kawajelin. It was like a hospital area there. So Kawajelin was where spent the rest of the time.
Okay, so you were in Kawajelin for the rest of the war?
No, not the rest of the war, until for a couple months.
Okay.
Couple months.
All right.
And then I was trying to get back to my company, which was pretty hard to do, and I finally got a ride on a ship and caught the company in New Hebrides Islands, Espiritu Santo. That's where the division, that's where the entire division ended up, to get resupplies and new people.
Okay. Now, once you got back to your unit, did you find a lot of your friends and buddies were still there? Or,
I found a lot of new people.
A lot of new people?
A lot of new people.
Were any of your friends killed
some,
or lost,
some
wounded? Or?
Some were, but many were gone.
Okay. All right. So a lot of new faces.
Well, many new faces.
Okay.
And I was trying to think. Well, I didn't have any squad at all, but by the end of this thing, anyway, I had about three guys left.
Yeah. Now, what was your job? What did they have you doing there?
Where in Espiritu Santo?
Yes.
Oh, we rebuilt up again and got a new squad, and everything started all over again. Training, amphibious training, and all that. And the rumor was, a real rumor, everybody knew exactly that we were going to go to Bougainville.
That was the rumor, huh?
So that was funny how that started, because somebody knew a driver who knew the general's driver, who heard somebody.
I imagine there must have been a lot of rumors floating around.
This is true. You guys are going to Bougainville.
And where did you go?
Went to Okinawa.
Oh, okay. And what was that like?
That was a long, drawn-out affair. But prior to that, apparently, some guys that had been home come back, and so I'm told that there was a bunch of us that contracted mumps, and we were held back in the hospital. Oh. Because of mumps, and I guess the way they treated mumps then, you had to be off your feet. I'm not sure about that, but that was the story. So I missed the sailing of the company. Okay. But finally hooked a ride on the ship that was carrying trucks and tanks to the Ryukyu Islands, and I hooked a ride on that as a stowaway, not a stowaway, but passenger. Everything was. You sort of had to make your own way sometimes.
Right. Now, how many guys were laid up with the bumps?
My God, there was a whole hospital ward full. I would say 30, 40.
Just from your company, or?
No, just from all over.
Okay.
And then whether or not that treatment was what was needed, I don't know, but
Okay.
it was I think yeah, I do recall it was a swelling in the glands.
Yeah.
It was really,
Okay.
it wasn't bad, but it just a thing where the military insisted.
Yeah, they didn't want the whole division coming
Yeah,
down
that's
with them.
exactly right, yeah.
Okay, so eventually you caught up with your unit in Okinawa.
Yeah,
All right.
and
What was
they
it?
were, when the ship I was on, it was a cargo ship, got to Okinawa, I actually jumped ship. Just to get away from well, I just wanted to get back to my company.
Uh-huh.
So I recall this petty officer yelling at me, "Come back, you are deserting, you're deserting."
Now,
No.
by jumping ship,
Yeah.
you were docked, in other words, you
Yeah,
just jumped
yeah.
into the water and
So
go.
there happened to be a barge going ashore, and I was on it. And
Okay. So eventually,
I finally caught up with the company again. And they were starting long-range patrols up in the mountains.
uh-huh.
And that's where we were. And
Any contact with?
yeah, some.
Yeah.
Some, yeah. But we were strafed by our own planes once, I recall. And but that understandable.
Yeah.
We were up in the mountains and nobody knew who we were.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to think.
Did you take any Japanese prisoners at all?
Oh, yes, we did. Yes, we did. I'm glad you mentioned that. One night, as usual, we put out booby traps and not booby traps, but tripwires with flares on them.
No, this was on Okinawa?
On Okinawa,
Okay.
yeah. Just for the night.
Mm-hmm.
And just a hasty thing. So we were going to so in the morning, we're getting ready to pull out again, and there was this Japanese officer sitting right in the middle of the company. He had come to surrender.
Oh my goodness.
And somehow he got through all those tripwires without tripping on one.
Hmm.
He was an old gentleman that figured this is not for me.
Well,
So he was.
so he decided not to
smiling
die for
and
the
all that.
emperor.
Yeah, that's right. So we sent him back with the MPs.
Uh-huh.
And went on. But shortly after that, there come a directive out that all people with the high points would be congregated together and sent to another island called Shima,
Mm-hmm.
which is off of Okinawa, which is where we went, and we set up beach positions there,
Mm-hmm.
over there. But by this time, I didn't know a soul, because we were all different people from different battalions, but
Uh-huh.
only there because we all had high points. But I guess the idea was they were going to send us home.
Yeah.
That's when the big bomb dropped.
And what was your feelings on that? Was it hard to comprehend that one bomb could do that kind
Yes,
of
it was.
devastation?
It was just like another army rumor. One rumor went that it was the size of a basketball. That's what, and the feeling was, oh, it couldn't be. Yeah, yes, that's really happened. And then it finally dawned on everybody that, hey, it's over.
Mm-hmm.
But we were in this little village. This is 3 days after the bomb had dropped.
Uh-huh. The first bomb? Or
The 3 days No, the war was over.
Okay.
When
All right.
it would be August, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, August. Yeah, the war had just ended,
Okay.
and we were attacked by planes. We were hit by one. Only there were a couple, but I only saw one.
The war was over, but
Yeah, they came from somewhere, and to this day I have no idea where they come from.
and they were Japanese planes.
Japanese plane. Oh yeah, one of them. We were in this schoolhouse that was all lit up. We had the gasoline lamps and all that, and the usual crack game going on. And I was sitting on a windowsill reading a newspaper, and this plane went right over the roof, just missed us, and crashed and blew up in the road a couple hundred yards away with a huge explosion. And he tried to hit the school because we were all lit up. That was the last bit of hostility that I saw.
Now, did you have once the war had ended? Did you have much contact with the Japanese population?
No, none.
Civilian population?
No. We were all herded into like a big compound to wait for ships.
Okay.
That was it.
So you didn't do any,
Mopping up, you mean?
well, not the mopping up, but you didn't, well, when the war ended, you didn't, you left, you didn't, what's the term I'm looking for? Occupation duty.
Oh, no, none of that.
Okay. Okay.
No.
Was there much celebration when the
No.
war was over? Everybody just anxious to go home?
I think the rear echelon were all firing in the air and all that. There was some danger there because, especially because at this time we were not on the big island of Okinawa. We were on this little island of Ahishima, where I was then. But there was some celebration on the other island, and there were some casualties from shells coming down again.
Sure.
People firing in the air,
I can
all
imagine.
that. That was sad.
Now, when did you go home? Obviously, you went home by ship.
Home by ship. And I recall that by ship, we left a trail of, I think, flour, because they had a detail of just throwing stuff overboard. Flour and all kinds of food.
Okay.
Just to lighten the ship, I guess.
What about equipment was? I've heard stories of equipment, guns, and
Oh, I don't recall that part.
all sorts of things
No.
being just thrown overboard.
No, I don't recall that
Okay.
part. Just
But you
just
remember the
I
flour.
remember the bags of flour and stuff like that, and food. Just a trail of it.
Okay. Now, when and where did you land?
Fort Lewis, Washington. We went to Fort Lewis,
Okay.
and we were in barracks there for about a week.
Okay. So you were discharged from there, or did they send
No.
you back east?
From there by train to Fort Dix, New Jersey.
Okay.
And Fort Dix, New Jersey was where they processed us out.
Now, when you were discharged, were you with guys you knew, or just
No,
strangers?
just individually.
Okay.
By this time, there was no coming home as a unit that I remember. I don't think there was
Okay.
anything like that.
So you were discharged according to the points you had?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I imagine your family was happy to see you when you got home.
Yeah, the train, it was by train, of course.
You took a train from, let's
Fort
say,
Lewis, Washington.
right, to Fort Dix.
Fort Dix, and then Fort Dix, we get a ticket home.
Okay, you took another train.
Took another train from New York to Amsterdam, and
Okay.
got off the train.
Did your family know you were coming?
No, nobody did.
Mm-hmm.
Just showed up. And I remember going into my grandmother's house there in Amsterdam and yelling, "I'm home." Says, she was not expecting me.
Uh-huh.
"I'll be down in a minute, I'm not dressed yet."
She recognized
like
your voice?
like I've been gone. I've been gone for 5 years. I thought that was pretty funny.
Now, were your parents living
Yes.
at that point?
Yeah.
Okay.
They lived in Broadalbin. You know where that?
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they lived in Broadalbin.
So you went from Amsterdam to Broadalbin?
Well, actually, I prefer living in Amsterdam. That's a family issue.
Uh-huh. Okay.
I'd rather not
Okay.
go into here.
All right.
So I spent most of my time on the south side of Amsterdam,
Okay.
in the Florida Avenue area.
So you were discharged and you got home. Do you recall the date, approximately?
In the fall.
Fall of 45.
Fall of 45, yeah. Yeah.
Right. Now, once you were discharged, did you make use of that 5220 club?
Oh, yes. Yeah, we did. 5220 Club. That was our rehabilitation period. I think it's called something different now. But we spent most of our time in Carl's Tavern or Southside Grill, which is part of our rehabilitation.
All right. Once you were rehabilitated, did you go on to school or did you take a job?
I had a couple jobs, and let's see. One was Wilson Meatpacking, where we had to unload refrigerator cars right there in Amsterdam, and that wasn't much of a job.
Mm-hmm.
But jobs were not that easy. There weren't many.
Mm-hmm.
Even the mills had laid off everybody. And
Okay.
then there was a knitting company. That was my final job, was Chalmers Knitting Company. And from there, I went back in the Army.
You went back in the Army, okay. And what made you decide to go back into the Army?
At the time, just the prospect of living in Amsterdam all those years ahead of me, I can't do this. I'm going to have to get out of here.
You went back into the Army. Whereabouts did they send you?
I went to Fort Dix again.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time the Army was looking for people to come back. They wanted people to come back.
Okay.
Apparently the Army had lost too many too soon.
Mm-hmm.
So I went back to Fort Dix, and apparently there had just been a prison riot. There's some military prison which was in Indiana, and I was sent out there.
Now this is 1946?
46, yeah.
Okay.
Beginning of 46.
Okay.
April. I was sent out to Fort Benjamin Harrison in Indiana as a prison guard.
Now, did they take you in at your old rank as staff sergeant?
No. It's been too long. It's been too long a time, and he lapsed.
What rank did they give you?
Corporal.
Corporal.
Yeah, which is all right. It's all right with me just to get out of town. I'm just,
all right.
I think I missed I was too young, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to get out and see things.
Okay. So how long were you a prison guard for?
About a year and a half, and then I got transferred to Vienna, Austria,
Hmm.
with the military police, which was, actually that was my branch of service anyway, from the, when I went in, it was military police.
So you went to Vienna about 1947 or so?
Yes, yeah, about that. Mhm.
What was that like being over in Europe? Was there still a lot of evidence of the...
Oh yeah,
of the war?
Europe was pretty well shot up, and people were, everything was rationed, and
Mhm.
people, it was cold in the winters, and it wasn't a good lifestyle, but everybody was industrious, and they worked their way out of it,
Mhm.
at least in Austria.
Yeah.
So,
Now, were you married at...
no,
Okay.
single.
Okay.
And while in Vienna, I was with the, what they call the four-power military police. Well, Vienna was a divided city,
Mhm.
as you know. The four powers, U.S., Britain, France, and Russia.
Mhm.
And I was a military policeman there.
Was there much trouble or problems?
Pardon?
Did you run into any
Well,
problems or trouble?
the main purpose was not with the people. Our job was to keep peace between the four armies.
Okay.
That was, we had nothing to do with the occupation, and nothing to do with that at all.
All right.
It was just like a peacekeeping,
Mhm.
keeping order.
Yeah.
In other words, most of the time in Vienna was unruly
Uh-huh.
military.
But it was better duty than being in the Pacific.
Oh, it was wonderful duty. Had barracks we lived in, quite nice.
Mhm. A lot of time off to sightsee.
Not that, no, we didn't get a lot of time. No, there wasn't that so
No.
much. We were sort of like 7 days a week.
Oh,
It wasn't a time off job.
okay. How long were you there for?
About a year, 2 years,
2 years there?
and then my time ran out.
Okay. Did you advance in rank at
No,
State of Corporal?
State of corporal. No.
Okay.
The Army decided that maybe they got too many people back or
Yeah.
something. The promotions were difficult.
Okay. So you were discharged at that point?
Discharged.
You decided not to stay in, or you decided to get out?
I decided to get out. And, at the time, the State Department was recruiting security people for overseas embassies and consulates.
Oh.
They were building up consulates and legations,
Recruiting civilian workers?
civilians,
Oh, okay.
American
Yep.
civilians.
Okay.
So that's where I.
All right. So can you tell us about that, or is that top
Well,
secret? Or
no, I went to Budapest as a legation guard at the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
but from there on, I got into the courier. You sort of have to make your own way, in other words.
Mm-hmm.
So I got into the courier business, and
What were you transporting documents between
Yeah.
embassies? And,
that was before all this. Everything was. What's the word I'm thinking of?
Electronic?
Telephone. Yeah, there was nothing telephone. Everything was carried by hand.
okay.
So.
Were you armed at all?
No, just
No weapons.
no weapons. The train that we serviced was from Paris to Istanbul, so we were in between. And I used to have to take top secret stuff, and the couriers would be on the train. Some couriers would stay on the train, on Orient Express.
Oh, that sounds pretty
Yeah, so
pretty interesting.
many a dark and dreary night in the train station in Budapest, I'd have to meet this courier and hand him this bag.
Now, were they people you knew? Or
No,
was
they
there
were
a different one?
Well, yeah, I knew them. I knew the couriers after a while,
Okay.
State Department couriers.
Yeah.
But the thing is, on the Orient Express, you had couriers from every country. You had couriers from England, all over.
Was there any problems or trouble?
No, none.
Everything was pretty routine.
Everything went off pretty good.
Yeah.
Except one courier fell off a train between Budapest and Istanbul. He was killed.
Uh-huh. Okay. And how long did you do that for?
I did that for a couple of years. During which time I was married. Got married.
Okay. Did you meet your wife overseas?
Yeah, she was. She worked in the record section in the legation in Budapest.
Okay. Now, was she American or?
American.
Oh, okay. So she had a career with the State Department too?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
So did you retire? Did you retire from the State Department?
No.
You left.
I was transferred from Budapest to Tehran, which is following leave.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, no, I was transferred to Rome. Excuse me. From Budapest. And spent three years in Rome, which is where John showed up.
So, what kind of work were you doing there? Still?
In Rome, I was working in general services, which is sort of like the administrative work of an embassy, which all the behind the scenes stuff that has to get done. I don't know how to explain it, but
okay.
For instance, they would come up with a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way the government would work, or maybe it still does. I'm sure it does. So I ordered a new car. Sure enough, a new car shows up. This is the car you ordered for the ambassador. And other things like just wildly spending money to get it spent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that still goes on.
Oh, I'm sure it does.
So that's the kind of work I did there, sort of administrative work.
And then from Rome you went to Tehran?
Tehran, same kind of work.
Mm-hmm.
Tehran, I resigned from Tehran.
Okay.
Because I sort of thought I wanted to get back to the United States. I wanted to get in the border patrol. So returned to the United States and ended up in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Took border patrol exam at Tucson, Arizona. And passed that. And while I was waiting for word from that, another response came to a query I had made to the CIA. And they said, "When can you get here?" Which sounded quite good to me.
Yeah.
So I answered as soon as I can. So I put everything in the car and left Phoenix, Arizona, and drove to the Washington area, which is where I entered the CIA, and then that was my last employment.
How long were you with them for?
20 years, 16, 20 years, I guess, something like that.
Did you do any overseas work at all?
Yes, yeah. Went to Japan. Oddly enough, went to Japan for 6 years. 6 years, yeah. We were in Japan 6 years, and which was great.
Now, what type of work did you do?
With the agency,
Yeah,
just paper shuffling,
clerical work. Okay.
the usual. And,
sounds like you had a pretty exciting career.
And then after 6 years, I returned to the States, and from there, I got a tour in Vietnam, but I had to go alone.
Whereabouts in Vietnam were you?
I was right in Saigon all the time, at the station right at the embassy in Saigon.
When were you there?
I'm trying to think.
66 to 60, late 67, I think.
67? Yeah,
66.
67, 68.
Okay.
I was there about a year. I was there about a year and a half.
Okay. You weren't there for TET, were you?
No,
Okay.
I missed that.
Okay.
Were you?
No, I missed it too.
And then after I spent my remaining time in the government at headquarters, right in Langley, Virginia. And that was
When did you retire from the CIA?
72, 73,
74.
74.
74.
Right.
Okay. All right. And once you retired from the CIA, did you?
Oh, I took some odd jobs, which I really liked it. I got into the auto parts, worked in an auto parts store, which was really good. It was completely different, met all kinds of people.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
Okay. Now, did you join any veterans organizations?
Only the American Legion and Military Order of Purple Heart.
Okay. Did you ever attend any reunions or anything?
Yes. The 27 Division reunions, I used to go to, the annual ones. They had them usually in Binghamton. They had them in Syracuse, and a couple in Syracuse, and in Saratoga. I went to one in Saratoga.
Okay. And did you stay in contact with any of the people you were in the service with?
Yeah, I did.
A friend.
I did,
Yeah.
but they're all gone. They're on the west coast mostly. George O'Donnell and
Okay.
Hanson and Spearing, Don Spearing.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else you'd like to touch on that I'm sure we've missed a lot. Any of your experiences that you can recall that you'd like to relate?
I'm trying to think. Well, it's been pretty.
Could I make a suggestion?
Sure.
One of his stories is seeing the first dead Japanese he had ever seen, and living in upstate New York, he had never seen Asians. And he believed that the Japanese were 4 feet tall, cross-eyed, flew bamboo planes. And I'll let you tell the story of in the trenches of the big Japanese you saw. Yeah, just go ahead and tell them.
What was it?
And the first dead Japanese soldiers, you saw how big they were, all from Hokkaido, the 6-footers.
Oh, yeah.
If you just tell Wayne
Yeah.
that little vignette.
Was he talking about my first impression? Is that what he meant?
Yes, the
Yeah.
first time you saw a dead
Oh.
Japanese soldier.
Yeah, we had been led to believe that, like many, that they were inferior little guys, you know.
Mhm.
It wasn't so. They were huge. Is that what you meant?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
All right.
And the first dead one I saw was at least, he was almost 7 feet tall.
Oh, geez. Hmm.
Other than that,
Okay.
right now, just trying to decide where I want to live. Whether remain in Virginia or move back to New York State.
Mhm.
I'm not sure about that.
Well, I think the weather's probably a little nicer in Virginia.
Well, yeah, it's true, but the pace of life is slower up here, which is nicer.
Yeah.
It feels a great nostalgia for Amsterdam, and this
Oh,
area,
sure.
and more so than suburbia where we're living now.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for your interview.
Thank you for having me.